Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, and today we're going to be talking about the pink full moon of April the 7th coming up tomorrow night and what that is going to mean for us as Wiccans and pagans. So in Northeast America, early blooming pink flowers, wildflowers, start appearing at this time of year, and that is why this moon is probably most commonly referred to as the pink moon. Not because the moon itself is going to be pink, unfortunately, although it would be lovely if it was. It's based on what the Native Americans conceptualized as the pink moon, based on what was happening around in their environment at that time, which is why this pink moss, I think it's called, is what they use to refer to this moon as, because that's when the pink moss flower would start coming out. And I think I said in my last full moon video, which was the worm moon in March, that the names that are most commonly used for the full moons of each month of the year are the ones that the Native Americans conceptualized, but there are plenty of other different names that people have for the full moons across the year, and some people even like to name each full moon of the month something that is personal to them and represents what they believe about it. So although I'm calling it the pink moon, you can really just call it whatever you want, whatever is maybe traditional to your area, or just what is special to your heart. You don't have to go with the Native American kind of traditional way of calling it. So what I like to do in my full moon videos and just my moon phases videos is to talk about, before I delve into the specifics of what this one in particular will mean for us, just to recap what the moon phase in general means. So as I said in my last video, the new moon is equated to the spring equinox time, which is planting seeds and setting intentions and preparing for the cycle ahead, and the full moon can be equated to the autumn equinox time of harvest, reaping rewards, and being grateful for what you have received from the past cycle. So from that we can gather that this full moon is going to be synonymous with the energy of harvest, receiving, thankfulness and abundance, and that may not feel very in tune with what we're all going through at the minute, but I will explain later how I think we can still interweave those energies into our daily lives anyway, even though it is a lot more difficult at this time given what we're all going through. So something I forgot to mention in my previous moon videos is the triad of the triple goddess that is honoured in Wicca, and some pagans like to use it, others don't if they don't identify with being Wiccans. But for me personally, I think it's something that really resonates with me, and that is how the moon phases of the waxing moon, full moon and waning moon equate to each of the phases of the triple goddess, each of the stages in the goddess's life in that triad. So basically what that means is the waxing moon would be equated to the maiden, so you've got the fresh new energy starting up, the young woman, and then the full moon is the mother coming into motherhood, and it's a very visual representation of that for me as well, just because of the big full circle you could almost think of as like the shape of a pregnant belly, the big full circle and that energy of harvest and things blooming and ripening. And then the waning moon will of course, and the new moon as well, be associated with the crone energy, so things ending, things preparing for, I guess, death, letting go, reflecting, and all of the wisdom that has been gathered over those past other cycles. So for me personally, I do find that it adds quite a nice dimension to my practice, to when I'm thinking about the moon phases and how to honour each one, think about how I honour each phase of the goddess as well. So whether I'm dealing with the maiden because it's the waxing moon, the mother because it's the full moon, or the crone because it's the waning moon or new moon. And so as this is the full moon coming up, we would be dealing with the mother archetype, and that's something that's really good to bear in mind. So thinking about the nourishing side of the mother, the blooming, the ripening, as I said, and these energies which are really quite comforting and reassuring, and I think that should be very welcome for us given the times and the circumstances that we are in. So now for my thoughts on what this moon specifically may mean for us. So this moon specifically, this year 2020, is going to be the brightest and biggest that the full moon will appear for us, because this is going to be the closest point in relation to the Earth, or the closest that appears. I'm not really sure of the specifics, but basically this is a supermoon, and it is the second in a little triad of supermoons that we're having at the moment. So the first one was in March, the last one will conclude in May, and that is basically just a time when the moon appears bigger and brighter than other standard full moons. So you may think that that has extra magical significance to it, extra meaning, extra power behind it, or not, but it does mean that the moon will be brighter and bigger. So if you're looking to harness the moonlight to gather in moon water, or to just have your crystals out in the moonlight so that they can charge, now would be a really good time to do that, because there is just a lot more moonlight happening, and yeah, that can be a really cool thing to do. So I think because of this coming full moon tomorrow may well be the most opportune time to perform lunar magic of any sort, which is quite exciting really. So you might want to prepare to do an extra special ritual tomorrow night when the full moon comes out. Hopefully we'll be able to see it and it won't be too cloudy. But although the moon will technically be at its most full on Tuesday night, that isn't to say that Tuesday night is the only night where you can perform lunar magic. You can also do it tonight, on the Monday night, or on the Wednesday night as well, because you have 3 nights where the moon is really at its fullest, the one in the middle being the most full of the full, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference if you do it on the Tuesday night or on the Wednesday night or the Monday night. So if Tuesday night is a little bit cloudy and we can't actually see the moon that well, don't panic too much, because we still have Wednesday night and you can get those crystals charging tonight on Monday night as well, just to make sure you have the biggest chance of having the moonlight reach them, basically, because, you know, in Britain the weather is temperamental. If you're into reflecting on what astrological sign the moon is in, that can be really helpful for spells as well. So the way I understand it, this full moon is going to be in Libra, but obviously it falls within the season of Aries. So I would say, for me personally, I would interpret that to mean that all the emotions and intuitiveness and instincts that go hand in hand with a full moon enhances that and makes everything very intense and passionate in that subconscious and emotional sense. I would interpret that to mean that this will happen as it would with any full moon, but it may be especially just bring about more of a dose of unabashed confidence with that, because we are in the season of Aries, we are in the season of springtime. This is the first full moon that we've had since the spring equinox, so it could just be extra intense, extra like enthusiastic, I suppose. But then as it's a full moon in Libra, that might also bring hopefully a sense of calm and a sense of more balance as well, because Libra is all about balance and maintaining harmony, so that could be an interesting one. So if there are any Librans out there watching this full moon could be an especially powerful time to you, and definitely something to reflect on, as it is the full moon in Libra, so you'll really be in your element at this time. And of course Aries as well, because we're still in the season of Aries. This all falls under the branch of Aries right now, so Aries energy is leading the way and everything else is just kind of an extension of that. So as for the kind of rituals you can do, I've said in my previous videos the kind of things that people tend to do on full moon: charging crystals, leaving them out in the garden overnight to get moonlight on them, or just on a windowsill if you don't have a garden, anywhere where the moonlight will reach them, and reach in and cleanse those energies and just refresh the energy of the crystal, basically. The moonlight is a great resetter for any negative energy, so that's the thing that typically happens and a lot of people do. There's also the practice of collecting moon water, where you have a clear mason jar or container, leave it out again in the garden overnight or on a windowsill overnight where it can get the moonlight, and just collect the energy of the moon in the water essentially, and then you can use that water for magical workings, so anointing yourself, anointing other people, anointing magical tools with that water. Depending on the energy of the full moon at the time, that water will be charged with, yes, full moon energy, but the energy of that specific full moon of the month. So all the other things that I said that relate to this full moon in particular coming up will be there contained in your mason jar of moon water, if that is what you choose to do this time. With that in mind, if you do want to add some extra oomph to your moon water or whatever you may be leaving out in the moonlight this month, You can pay particular attention to utilising moonstone, amethyst or clear quartz, either in the mason jar, like with the water, or in a crystal grid around it to direct the moon energy and the moonlight into the jar. Those crystals are really associated with sleep, the subconscious mind, emotions, intuition, instincts, and all of that good stuff that the full moon really brings to the fore as well. Another thing that I didn't mention in my last full moon video is that lavender is a very lunar herb. It's a lunar plant associated with dreams. It helps people to sleep more easily, it helps them to feel calm, and of course it's that lovely silvery purpley colour, which for me is just very moon-like. So you can think about doing some kind of rituals with lavender. I used to brew lavender tea for myself, which I might do again. Anything utilising flowers or herbs right now I think is a pretty good idea, just because, as you all know, we've just had the spring equinox, so we're really into spring now, really seeing those flowers blooming, and it's just a nice thing to pay attention to. Obviously I think next month is called the flower moon, so especially then we might be doing that kind of stuff, but it's just a cool thing to bear in mind. And there's lots of things you can do with lavender oil. You can use lavender oil in spell jars, rituals, anoint yourself with it, do massages with it, anything. It just really helps to connect you with that lunar energy. So although the full moon may feel a bit out of touch with what some people may be feeling, I do think it's quite good, because that calming energy of the mother goddess and the subconscious dreams and just trying to feel calm and soothed by all of that. As I said, lavender is a very soothing plant. If we try to really ground ourselves in that energy, it can be very beneficial for us right now, and that's definitely something that I think I'm going to try to do. My personal intention for this full moon time is, because as I said, it is about abundance, letting yourself receive and be grateful for the past cycle. We really try to use this to, as difficult as it might be grateful for the stuff that we have achieved in the past month. So you may have had to adjust to a schedule that was different, and you may have had to adjust to a lot of new anxiety coming in, obviously. And if you've got this far and dealt with it, that is something to be grateful for, something to be celebrated. And if you're able to live with your friends or family at this time, live with a loved one while we're in isolation, that is another thing to really be grateful for. Be grateful if you have a garden, be grateful if you have pets, just be grateful for the sun shining every day. The weather's been really good, and the reason why I say so much about gratitude is, yes, the full moon energy is based on gratitude really, because we've just come out of a new lunar cycle and we're receiving all of the hard work that we've put in over this past cycle. And the other reason why I mention gratitude so much is just from a mental health perspective. It really helps. Basically, I'm someone who suffers with anxiety and depression, and I don't know where I would be were it not for doing the occasional gratitude list every now and then. And no matter how bleak things may seem and how bleak things are, like, I'm not denying that things are absolutely terrible for a lot of people right now, just objectively speaking, it's really important that if we don't want to become depressed and if we want to remain productive and somewhat sane, that we do take that time to be grateful for what we do have, even if that's just being grateful that at the end of the day we have our loved one with us, helping to look after us, or a pet with us, or just people who care about us, who might be checking in with us more at this time. And yeah, that's my intention for the full moon, is just think, okay, this is not really a time of abundance per se, like what some people might think, but we can really think about what abundance might be there that we may have been missing, just in terms of at least we have a roof over our head, at least we have food in our cupboards, just the basic little things like that that can be really helpful to remember and could just help us to feel more in touch with the moon phase that is happening currently, even though, as I said, it might not feel entirely in tune with what we're going through. We can find ways to make it more in tune, essentially, is what I'm trying to say. So yes, as always, I hope you guys are safe and well, and I just want everyone to give themselves permission to breathe in this stressful time. Give yourself permission to feel thankful for what you have already achieved, how far we have already come in tackling this virus, I guess, and the sacrifices that we've all had to make, and be grateful for the excellent work of the NHS and key workers. and just give yourself permission to breathe and be like, this is okay, we're doing well, it's the full moon. We can be grateful for the fullness of what we have achieved so far. So I hope this may have been helpful to some of you. I know it's a very difficult time, as I keep saying, but let's not forget our witchy practice and the full moon and what that symbolises for us and what we want to get out of this time that may be positive in an otherwise very negative seeming time. So thank you all for watching. My next video will most likely be a breakdown of Taurus in general as an astrological sign. On April the 20th we'll be moving into Taurus, the season of Taurus, very exciting, and I'll be talking about what Taurus energy means to me and what it means to other people as well. So that's the next video to look forward to. Thank you for tuning in with me today and hope to see you all again very soon.